Chapter 1. The Castle That Never Slept. Blackthorn Castle stood on the edge of the northern cliffs, like a creature carved from stone and regret. Its towers pierced the gray Victorian sky, eternally shrouded in mist, as if the castle itself wished to hide from the world. Inside its walls, time did not move freely. It crawled, burdened by rules, titles, and silence. Princess Eleanor Ashcroft had lived her entire life behind those walls. She was 22, the only daughter of Duke Ashcroft, a man whose power stretched far beyond the iron gates of Blackthorn. Eleanor was known across the county as graceful, educated, and painfully obedient. Her portraits hung in parlors she had never seen, admired by men she would never love. From her bedroom window, Eleanor could see the servants' quarters below. She often watched them in secret, fascinated by their laughter, their exhaustion, their freedom to be tired and honest. She envied them. Among them was Thomas Hale, a footman newly assigned to the inner halls of the castle. Chapter 2. The servant who watched the floor. Thomas had learned early never to look directly at the nobility. Born to a coal miner and a seamstress, he had entered service at 15 after his father's death. By 26, his hands were calloused, his posture rigid, his eyes permanently trained on the marble floor. But on his first evening at Blackthorn, fate betrayed him. As he carried a silver tray down the east corridor, Eleanor stepped out of the library, her arms full of books. They collided. Books scattered. The tray fell. Silence swallowed the hallway. Thomas froze, heart pounding. He knelt immediately, head bowed. "I beg your pardon, Your Highness, Please," Eleanor said softly. "It was my fault." Her voice was not sharp, not distant. It was human. Thomas dared to look up. For a brief, dangerous second, their eyes met. Something passed between them. Something unspoken, electric, and forbidden. Chapter 3. Unspoken rules. From that night on, Eleanor noticed Thomas everywhere. He poured her tea without trembling. He held doors without staring. He existed in her presence as if she were merely another soul walking the halls. This terrified her. Victorian society was built on invisible walls, stronger than iron. A princess did not speak to a servant beyond necessity. A servant did not exist beyond duty. Yet Eleanor began to engineer coincidences. She requested books from the lower library, where Thomas often cleaned. She lingered longer at breakfast. She walked the gardens at dusk. Thomas noticed. He tried not to, but when she spoke to him, truly spoke, he failed. "Do you ever wish," Eleanor asked one evening in the garden, "that the world were quieter?" Thomas hesitated. One wrong word could cost him his position. "Yes," he said carefully. "Every day." Their conversations remained polite, restrained, but beneath each word lay tension, hunger, and danger. Chapter 4. The Weight of Wanting. Eleanor had suitors, lords with estates, dukes with carriages, men who spoke of alliances and heirs as if love were irrelevant. She smiled. She obeyed. At night, she dreamed of Thomas's voice. Thomas, meanwhile, punished himself for every stolen glance. He reminded himself of his place, of the consequences, of the shame. But when Eleanor fell ill during winter, it was Thomas who was sent to tend the fire in her chambers. Alone, after midnight. The room was dim, lit only by the hearth. "Thomas," she whispered. He stopped. "Yes, Your Highness." "Do you believe," she said, "that some lives are chosen and others are assigned?" Thomas swallowed. "I believe," he replied, "that some people are never asked what they want." She stood then, closer than was proper. "So what do you want?" she asked. The silence that followed was deafening. Chapter 5. The first sin. Thomas should have stepped back. He didn't. "I want," he said, voice shaking, "to forget who I am when I'm near you." Eleanor reached for his hand. That touch, brief, trembling, destroyed everything. Their kiss was not desperate. It was reverent, slow, full of years of restraint breaking all at once. When they parted, Eleanor was crying. "This cannot happen," she whispered. "I know," Thomas said. They both knew it would happen again. Chapter 6. Shadows and Whispers. Victorian castles were built to hear everything. Servants whispered. Maids watched. The Duke noticed Eleanor's distraction, her flushed cheeks, her refusal of suitors. One night, Eleanor and Thomas met in the abandoned West Tower, a place forgotten by time. They spoke of impossible futures. "I would give up everything," Eleanor said, "if it meant living honestly." Thomas shook his head. "You would lose your name, your protection, your world. I would gain my soul." They held each other as the wind howled through broken stone. But secrets wrought. Chapter 7. Discovery. The Duke discovered them by accident, or fate. A shadow in the corridor, a hand lingering too long, a look that lasted a second too much. Thomas was summoned, dismissed, banished, no trial, no explanation. Eleanor screamed when she learned. She confronted her father for the first time in her life. "You will marry Lord Pembroke," the Duke said coldly, "or you will be locked away from the world you clearly do not understand." That night, Eleanor made a choice no Victorian princess was meant to make. Chapter 8. The Last Carriage. Thomas was leaving at dawn. The carriage waited. Then Eleanor appeared, cloak drawn, hair unbound. "I am coming with you," she said. Thomas stared in horror. "You cannot." "I already have." They fled under cover of fog, leaving behind titles, stone, and silence. Blackthorn Castle never slept again, but it mourned. Epilogue. A quiet life. They lived modestly in a coastal town where no one knew her name. Eleanor learned to cook. Thomas learned to laugh. They were never rich. They were free. And in a world that had denied them everything, that was enough.